Wicked Wheels got it sounding a bit different, not too much, but I'm very happy about that. Whew. And it runs. It does have an oil leak. You guys see that? I know what it is. It's the rear main seal. We're gonna get it taken care of. It just looks so good. Now that it moves, I feel like it almost looks better, but what it definitely needs now is a front bumper. We'll try to get to that. It's expensive, the one I want, but it just looks so much better. So first, I lifted the truck. Then, only like maybe 2 weeks later, I'm not even sure exactly how long, the engine blew. We later discovered it was oil in the intercooler, so I assume the interiors of the turbo sent oil into the engine where it shouldn't have been. I don't know that for a fact that that's why it blew, but I think that's why it did. Well, this is not a drill, y'all. Tow truck's on the way. My engine just blew on 95, going like 75 miles an hour. Engine blew. It then sat at my sister's house for like 2 months while I decided, am I swapping the engine? Where am I gonna get another engine? And then it came back home to here on a truck. I started the teardown after it came to the house, and then I bought a car that I named Lil Jerry. It was a Scion TC. It blew up like not very long after that. I removed the front end, then the turbo, and then the engine itself. After some time of deciding, am I swapping it, am I getting a new engine, well, new being used, but new to me, I ended up finding a pretty good deal, and it had 72,000 miles if I remember correctly. Stupid mosquito. And that's the engine that we ended up putting in. I put the old transmission onto the new engine and a few other things here and there. I put new gaskets on the engine, stuff like that. Then it was time to go in, and that's exactly what happened. It was difficult, but it wasn't that bad. Then I spent a ton of time on reassembly of the engine and transmission parts like that. That's whenever I then tore down the engine, the old engine I mean, and I went on ahead and came up with the conclusion at that point that it was the oil in the intercooler causing the issue. And it was a lot of oil, like a whole quart. Also, whenever I tore it down, we found metal shavings in the oil, and that was kind of the full real confirmation that it blew. Not that I didn't think it blew, just that seeing the oil shavings, and a lot of them, and the destroyed bearings in the oil pan was kind of the, you know.
Get up for you. Holy crap, there's a ton in there. I can scoop out a ton more. Wow. I'm gonna go show my dad. It has a ton of damage, some chipping right there. You guys can see the metal's gone there. Then this one, the thrust bearing. This is part of the thrust bearing. Thrust bearing controls forward and aft movement of the crankshaft. It's chewed up, it's black, looks terrible. This one also looks terrible. This other part of the thrust bearing looks terrible. Remember, these are supposed to look like pretty. This one, real bad. I got the new turbo with Wicked Wheels in it. They sound great, by the way. Here's a clip from the other day whenever I got it running. Very whistly. I then picked up a Mishimoto intercooler at the same time. I sold some parts in order to pay for this whole entire rebuild because it was very, very expensive. Then I did some final assembly on the Titan and got it looking a bit more like a Titan.
better than my wife.
Hey, dude.
Hey, how, dude?
Dang, look at the Titan looking all good.
Room up here. You keep her coming. Fill this tree up. I can see my house from here.
Hey, hey, man, you look good.
Thanks, bro. Since then, and I'm actually going to read out of this list right here. Since then, there were fuel leaks to find. That took a little while. Diesel to drain. I didn't know if there was sugar in the tank or not that caused the diesel to drain. Also, the diesel had sat for a long time throughout the entire process, and I didn't think that it was up to standard compared to brand new diesel. There was a battery issue. There's like these little thingies on the battery terminals that have wires going into them. Those went bad, which was really difficult to figure out that issue. This is all over many months. This is my explanation for why it took so long. Anyway, the batteries then had to be replaced as well. Fuel filter change, and then constant fuel priming, because I thought the issue, I didn't know why it wasn't priming, so I was just constantly priming it, trying to get it figured out, and readjusting fuel filters and cracking fuel lines and trying again, and just all these different things. The wires, oh, by the way, the reason I know that all these issues are legitimate is because after they were fixed, check engine lights went away. Whenever I originally put the engine in, the amount of check engine lights that were on there when everything was assembled was absolutely insane, just a ridiculous amount. So the wire grounds were clean. Stupid mosquitoes. I got this new hair gel and they just love it. So wire grounds had to be cleaned. You think it's not that big of a deal, but you can look into these trucks, the wire grounds not being cleaned affect everything. I also did a lot of cleaning of the actual wires themselves, where the male and female connectors of the wires. So fuel pressure relief valve. So I didn't realize this for a long time. One of the reasons I couldn't get injection pressure, I got plenty of fuel pressure but not injection pressure. One of those reasons was because the fuel pressure relief valve was bad, and I didn't know. Whenever I pulled it and saw rust on the tip of it, I then knew that it was bad. So ordered that, swapped that in, cleaned out the fuel rails, all that kind of stuff. Took the truck to the dealer. Whenever everything was assembled, I could not figure it out. And eventually I just swallowed my pride and I was like, I can't figure out this truck. I'm gonna have to get the dealer to handle it, even though I love the idea of me doing absolutely all the work on this truck besides for stuff I cannot do. So that ended up being the case. It went to the dealer found out it was tuned and deleted, obviously. And whenever they found that out, they didn't want to work on it, and they wouldn't even let me do a thing. They said, we can't even touch the truck legally. So then I took it to a local shop. I'm not going to blow up the name of the shop and all that, but they didn't do a thing on it for 6 weeks. I pretty much was under the impression at that point it probably just needed some recalibrations in the computer system. Maybe it needed a little thing here and there, and I figured a professional diesel shop that has plenty of builds outside would be able to do it, but they weren't. They didn't touch it at all. Got in a small argument with the owner, and he said, well, if you want the truck, come and get it. I sent a tow truck, and then the truck came back to my house, and I had no idea what to do next. This is kind of the awkward part, because the two issues that were prohibiting it from starting at this point, now remember, we had a long list of issues that were prohibiting it from starting before, but the final two issues preventing it from starting were the stupidest ones. And they were the ones it probably took me the longest to figure out. So the first one, on these trucks, the fuel pumps don't go deep into the tank, right? So if you have a quarter tank or under, it's very hard to prime the system. There's also stories of people driving their truck under a quarter tank and the truck dying while driving. I'm not saying that's going to happen every time, obviously not, but it is applicable to some circumstances. And so with that, my truck had exactly a quarter in it. And so I decided, you know what, I don't think it's going to work. I do not think that this is the issue, but I'm going to go on ahead and get the last bit of the fuel, or I'm going to go on ahead and get it up to at least like 3/4 of a tank. So that's what it has in right now, exactly 3/4 of a tank. The second I did that, I turned the key to accessory and I checked the EasyLink software, and so many check engine lights went away. I think I was down to 6, and they were all sonar signals, which is the parking sensors, which you see hanging right there. I try to get it running and it's not. A new code comes up, and that code was related to the as they called it in Zach and Cody, the Prindle, the gear shifter. That was related to that. It wasn't fully in park, even though it was put in park. The truck didn't believe it was in park, so it wouldn't even let me try to start. So it went from cranking to absolutely not trying at all. After I went under the truck and I tightened up the bolt for where the parking linkage connects where it goes to the transmission, tighten that bolt, it was loose. Once I tightened it, put it in drive, put it back in park, the truck then believed it was in park and it had enough fuel, and it started. The issues didn't stop there though. Stupid mosquitoes, I swear. Sorry if I'm going too fast, y'all. It's so much information. I'm just trying to get it out as quick as possible. But after I started it, it ran three times. I had started it 3 times and idled it. Me and my friend were out here and I revved it a little bit and it died on the revs. And then it would not start again no matter what I did. So I then looked to see if there were any new codes, and all the sonar codes were still there from the parking sensors not being connected. And then there were 2 sensors. One was involved with the MAV sensor. 2 sensors. There were 2 new codes. One was involved with the MAV sensors, and then the other one was an electronic like voltage issue inside the ECU. And then the other one was a coolant one. So there's a coolant sensor in the coolant reservoir of these trucks. When you get too low, it wigs everything out. So I was like, oh man, it won't start. I have these new issues, and it did start and it died, and I don't know what to do. But I had things to do. So I didn't I didn't touch the truck for a few days. I just let it sit. I came back in and came back into where? No, I came home. I had put coolant in it. I cleaned the MAV sensors, and I put the parking sensors in because I read that one of the can't talk. I've been doing so good.
How it works, or you know, or the mom and dad, or the neighbor, or when you go to church, or when you're. No, I really mean it.
So then I started working on the truck again, and I put coolant into it. I cleaned the MAV sensors, and then I read that voltage code in the ECU. This is kind of wild to me, but sometimes it's not really there. It's just the truck believes it's there because the parking sensors aren't plugged in. I wish I was making that up. I read it on a forum. I plugged my parking sensors in. Every single code went away. I didn't touch it for maybe 2 more days, and then I'm on the phone with my friend. I'm explaining to him the entire issue, and I said, you know what, Zach, I'm going to start it just for you, because why not try? You know, thinking it would not start up, and it started up just fine, and it has not had any issues starting up. There's no check engine lights. It revs. The turbos sound good. Everything is fine on it. I'm not going to rev it right anymore because of the oil leak. Now the truck has no issues besides for that oil leak. And it has no computer codes, it has nothing. The saga of trying to get this thing running, the massive saga that shouldn't have taken as long as it did, is finally over, and I can't believe it. It's hard to process, honestly, the whole process, because it's been so long. I mean, I feel like a whole different person than last time I even filmed. I missed YouTube more than you could possibly believe. I missed making videos. But all the money had to go to this truck, and a lot of boring updates, so didn't really make any videos.